Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Courtney Matiska. I am the Career Success Lead at Yellowtail Tech. I have Ralph joining us tonight. He is a former Yellowtail Tech student turned alumni and is currently employed in tech. So he's here to give us some insights about how he transitioned. Ralph, do you want to go ahead and take a moment to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Ralph Quick. I'm currently what they call a technologist two for Space Telescope Science Institute up in Baltimore, Maryland. I work remotely in wonderful, but today freezing Orlando, Florida. So, technologist two is basically I'm working with a cloud native infrastructure. At this time, it's with Kubernetes, but I'm from the Cloud for Jobs program at Yellowtail and originally from the Light Sail cohort.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you here and so proud of your transition. And I'd love to know more about your journey. I'm sure everyone with us here tonight would too. So tell us what inspired you to pursue a career in tech. How did you get started?
Well, it's kind of funny. I back in the days, I used to work for Motorola on the manufacturing sector. I used to work with land mobile product sector in Plantation, Florida, and the energy product sector up in Atlanta, Georgia, Lawrenceville, Georgia, years ago. And that was my start in tech, but not in regards to infrastructure and software. It was mostly with two-way satellite radios and the early days of cell phone energy products. Um, During that time, we had what was called the dot-com bubble. I'm telling my age. Um, and there was a lot of layoffs in the manufacturing sector. So I took the skills I had from Six Sigma and quality control and the whole philosophy behind processes from concept to finished product to output and getting it to the customer. And I took those valuable concepts and techniques. And a good friend of mine that was a programmer working for in the mortgage industry, he told me about he understood my background. He says, you know what, you can apply that in the mortgage industry because everything has a concept, a process, quality stops, quality checks, and a finished product. And then things have to go out and get funded and you make commission. So for 20 years after that, I was in the mortgage industry, but I never technically took my toe out of tech. I it was an itch I could never stop scratching. I was building websites on the side, um, learning about hosting, that sort of thing. And then when I got into optimizing website hosting and web application hosting, I started learning about the early days of, I guess not the early days, it's cloud resources, whether it's from Google using their API calls uh, to improve on the loading times of a website, namely JavaScript, and also to optimize what we call a content delivery network. I started learning more about that and using Amazon's S3 storage to optimize, uh, take care of some of those back end redundancies with objects like pictures and video and that sort of thing to speed up a website's loading time. And then, I got my hands on Polly, Amazon Polly, which is what we know as Amazon Alexa and to improve search engine optimization because I knew at the time that people were starting to talk to their phones to search for things. So I took advantage of that and had Poly in the back end of websites. So, to help with that search engine optimization of voice to text. And a good friend of mine who was in cybersecurity, a real good friend of mine, was he knew what was going on with the mortgage business, that the interest rates were low, and I knew they were going to bounce up and be a problem, be layoffs, and I knew that was coming like the next couple of years. So he's like, hey, quit wasting your time. There's this place called Yellowtail Tech. You need to check it out. You got all these skills, stuff, you're already doing stuff that a lot of people has been in this business for a long time are not aware of. And you're a fit. It just works. He knows how my brain works. He knows how I pick up things. And he says, the beauty of this place is that you're not working and learning in a silo. you're going to be working in what's called a cohort. You're going to be working with other people and actually fraternize and work together as a unit, think together as a unit, study together as a unit, and learn. And it's like it's not necessarily it removes competition. It becomes more organic, more cohesive because we're all learning together. It's designed for people with no tech background. And I'm, technically didn't have this kind of tech background, so it was perfect for me. And coming on board, it, you know, yeah, I was advanced in a lot of things, but not like what I was really diving into.
Sure.
With the entire cloud or infrastructure and learning Linux, because I didn't know Linux. I was a hack. I just copy paste commands I see other people do online and do and get my applications running. And mind you, I was doing all this website stuff on the side. It's something I want to do more full time. And when you're in there learning with people, yeah, you're going to have some people that's readily in IT, but they might be what we call on-premises IT.
Right.
Dealing with the cloud and virtual machines in this way, even for them, it was a new thing. So dealing with people with those backgrounds already, people that came from accounting, uh, people that came from, oh God, what's the one guy? There was one person in particular, a coal miner,
Wow.
people with different backgrounds, and they want to make a change. They want to reinvent themselves. They want to uh, get into technology because they understood that we were at the beginning of a long tail career path where it's going to become exponentially valuable and exponentially more in demand. And we kind of learned that during COVID when so many people started jumping on Zoom calls and working from home, and that takes the cloud to make that happen.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, long story short, I had a great time. Um, Met wonderful people at Yellowtail Tech, wonderful instructors, and people that really care and they don't want to see you fail.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, that's the best part. It's everybody's rooting for you.
Yeah.
And yeah,
So you've talked a lot about the Yellowtail Tech community, and of course, we really pride ourselves on the Yellowtail Tech community and how
right.
strong it is. So tell us how Yellowtail Tech supported you in transitioning into the tech industry.
One of my favorite things is while you're learning all the concepts and precepts, you get a lot of labs. You're not just working on theory. You're actually you'll learn the concept, you learn how systems and resources integrate, and then you go into the console and actually start building these things yourself. You'll get a kind of like a scenario, and this is what the situation is, and this is where it needs to be because this is what's being requested of you. And you kind of, after you learn what these resources are and how they work, then you start, you know, basically putting these little virtual Lego blocks together and turn it on,
Mm-hmm.
make it work. And and the beauty of it is you get to test what you're learning and making
Right.
it real. You understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, there's a thing I always say that we can sit here and learn. Like if you want to travel or learn about a culture, you can sit there and read books about going to Hong Kong. You can go to the local Cantonese restaurant and learn about Cantonese cuisine from Hong Kong. And you might learn a couple of phrases, but all that stuff means nothing until you actually go to Hong Kong and apply
Right.
what you learned and make it real. And
Yeah.
this is
Immerse
this
yourself
is
in it.
exactly, and this is what Yellowtail does for you.
That's awesome.
After, well, what I like too, even better, what a lot of programs don't have is the apprenticeship program.
Mm,
And the beauty of the apprenticeship program is where you really, the rubber hits the road and you really learn. Yes,
absolutely.
yeah, it does. And you can sit there and prepare yourself in class, do all the labs, do your study sessions, you pass the exam and get your certificate and get your publicly made available certificate on credly.com. But until you do that apprenticeship program, it's just another piece of paper like a degree or a diploma. The apprenticeship program takes real world tasks and projects that you have to understand and accomplish ticket by ticket to make these projects satisfactory to what the customer wants. And that's when it becomes very interesting. That's when you really learn. And it's very challenging, but it's not impossible. And
Yeah,
we've had a lot of
absolutely.
great people come through it and do a great job with these projects.
Yeah, we definitely have, and
Mhm.
we're really excited to have you as part of that group as well. So you've talked too about, kind of the development of the community and the development of your skills along the way. So tell us more about what skills you think that you developed through the Yellowtail Tech community and the learning program that have really contributed to your tech career today.
I would say, well, number one, the soft skills are always the biggest. Um, to me, soft skills is the most valuable thing you can learn. And the reason being is it prevents people from operating in silos in their little corners of the office. You operate more as a team. You learn to operate as a team. You learn to communicate. You learn how to effectively represent yourself in what we call scrum meetings, stand-ups, um, and actually understand goal setting and goal planning from these scrum meetings and how to hit your milestones. Other things I find valuable is fully understanding, like on the technical side, engaging with interfaces and how to create a three-tier architecture, which means that you're working with front-end applications, worker applications in the middle tier, and working with databases to put these together and what we would call like an auto scaling group. I mean, it's just
That's
a bunch of other stuff. It's just so many things. It gives my brain stretch marks, but it's a lot of fun. That's the big part is you're having fun doing this.
Yeah.
Challenging
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, and you mentioned the soft skills as well. I feel like it's a very underestimated part of working in tech. Soft skills are definitely important. Um, so I saw we have some questions in the comments. So it looks like the first one was I was a student, was wondering, let's see, if there was updated content to include CompTIA. Okay, so if I understand your question correctly, it sounds like you're looking for Security Plus related content. So I would definitely recommend if you've already completed our courses, you can actually reach out to me directly on Slack and I can take a look at where you're at with everything and we can see where you are in your course so I can better answer your question. So you can reach out to me directly on Slack. And then I see another question about Security Plus as well, the hot topic, right, Ralph?
Always, always.
Yeah. So if you already have Security Plus, is that part of tuition? So Security Plus is part of everything that we include. But if you've already completed Security Plus, then you wouldn't have to go through that portion of the courses again. And I want to remind everyone too that we've dropped the link to book a session with an enrollment advisor, a 10-minute call. So if you have additional questions about the program and how it works, you can certainly schedule time with an enrollment advisor to get more information, or you can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, or if you're a student, of course, you can reach out to me on Slack as well. So Ralph, we only have about 5 minutes left. So
Okay.
before we wrap up, I'd love to hear about what was most valuable to you in your tech journey.
I think the most valuable thing, is so many. I think being tenacious and having a personality and a character of being tenacious and uh, understanding steadfastness. I think one of the hardest things in general with anyone, especially when you start getting into like your fifth, sixth month, is that's when you have to really enjoy the process um, and not try to jump to the top of the mountain without climbing. Yeah, you can never cheat yourself in going through the program. and take shortcuts, because everything that the way the program's designed is to help you accelerate into building your skills. And I think being patient, being tenacious, even if you don't understand something, do not be shy and act like you don't understand something, because we all learn things differently or receive information differently. You will be surprised how well you receive information and process it and able to teach it back to somebody else. So if you find yourself in a situation where uh, it's still kind of like there's a certain concept that's still a little bit abstract, and you've done the labs
Hmm.
and it works, but you're still trying to get, define it for yourself to make it real. You have other people that can share, reiterate that back to you. There's never a
Absolutely.
bad question. And
Yeah.
there's always someone to talk to about, the instructors. Most of the instructors I've dealt with, and me being an instructor, we do spend time with students to make sure that we nail it home. If we don't have
Yeah.
the answer, we always have someone that has a better answer,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely. We do
So,
have two more questions that have come in. So one I'm going to answer, and the other one I'm going to pass to you because I think you're the one to really answer the second one. But regarding the cost of certifications, they're not included in the program. But Darnell asked if you could speak to the importance of attending conferences and being part of groups outside of work, and how those have helped your career. And I want to pass that to you because I know you've done a really great job with networking. So tell us more about that.
okay, networking is very important. You are marketing yourself. Yes, in the job market, you're who you are is something that's your responsibility to the market. Um, it's what business is about. No business exists, and you are a business. You are investing in yourself, and you are trying to get that return of investment that you spend all that time and energy and tests and everything else. You are investing and pouring into yourself, so you want to be able to reap that benefit. You have to market yourself. That's what business is about.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you do need to go to conferences. You do need to check locally and find your local tribe. I use meetup.com, and I start looking up keywords: technology, cloud engineering, AWS, Linux, cybersecurity. I look for keywords like that, developers, and you'll be surprised what groups are within like 5 to 50 miles from you. And some of them are virtual. You don't even have to be there. They'll have a virtual Zoom call. Just show up. You know, it's not, the reality is it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So the only way that you become recognizable is if you keep showing up. There's a saying I always tell people: what makes a chosen one? How do you become the chosen one? We always have these mystical ideas and these wonderful ideas. What is the chosen one? Like you see in movies and all that, and stories. Well, the answer to become the chosen one is you got to show up. If someone says there's a pickup basketball game at the park and we need 10 guys, well, be the first one there at the park so you can get chosen. If you're the 11th guy showing up, you're not going to get chosen unless someone breaks an ankle. So, you just need to show up.
Yeah,
That's most time we miss out on our own successes because we never show up when we're supposed to. you
yeah,
know you don't you gotta be there. You gotta show up and be authentic.
yeah. That's great advice. So we have 1 minute left. So I'd like for you to tell everyone joining us tonight, what is one piece of advice that you would give to somebody in transitioning into tech?
Be easy on yourself. You're not supposed to know everything right off the bat. That's the best part. you know it's easier to deal. Your benefit of coming into tech, if you've never been in it before, is the best part, because you are a bucket, an empty bucket, and you can allow Yellowtail and your cohort and your instructors to be able to pour into that bucket, and you define what you do with that bucket going forward through the process while you learn. You'll have a better a, a I find people are more successful when they're coming into it our way versus someone that's been in the business for over 10, 15 years. And then they're like, well, I know everything about tech, and they're coming in, they're still holding on the old stuff. And they find people that are new to it are actually learning and performing better than people that's been doing it the old way, because, the old way is still important now. We're still going to have a lot of legacy, professionals out there and legacy devices out there. But the reality is the way technology is moving for these next generations. Sometimes you're going to have to let go of the old stuff and just get with doing how we're doing things now, because it's about being agile and speed and get resolutions and be more durable, more resilient, and more available, highly available resources. And to do that, virtualization is what makes it possible, whether you're doing it through Linux, working in OpenShift, working in Kubernetes, working in AWS Cloud or Google Cloud. Just understand that you coming in green or empty, an empty bucket, you actually are going to probably be even more successful.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'm going to answer this last question, then we're going to wrap up for the evening. So we have a listener who's asking about the Ansible track. So we do have an Ansible track. So you would do your Red Hat system administrator certification first, and then there's the option to move on to do the Ansible track as well. All right, so I think that wraps us up for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Ralph, and providing some great insight for our listeners. And we look forward to seeing all of you again and chatting with our enrollment advisors. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And everyone, stay confident, be yourself, be authentic. You can do it. It's not impossible. You are possible. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.